All right, I think we can start now. I'm going to share my screen. Start my MATLAB. We have one more week, and this week, of course. So we have 2 separate lectures to the end of this semester. And we are going to learn how to create graphical user interface for our MATLAB programs. All right. All right. Here is our MATLAB workspace. This is our main window, and we have some parts in this workspace area. We have current folder, command window, workspace, and some other buttons to do something with MATLAB. And we call these interfaces as GUIs. So let me resize this window. Like, yeah, we call these windows, we call these interfaces as GUI. And this abbreviation stands for Graphical User Interface. Graphical User Interface. And here are some examples. For example, Microsoft Word has a GUI which includes some buttons, some areas, some text boxes, and comment buttons to create something with Microsoft Word, and also Microsoft Teams, which we use daily in our lectures, has a GUI to do something with these programs. And up to now, we have learned only to do something with MATLAB by using the comments and by using the command window or some scripts or some M files to do some calculations or to make some to solve some problems. And today we are going to learn how to create graphical user interfaces. And MATLAB has its own tool to create and design these GUIs, graphical user interfaces. And the name of this tool is Guides. So, Guides. And Guides is also an abbreviation which stands for Graphical User Interface Development Environment. So it's basically a tool to create GUIs. And first, I'm gonna run this tool, run this guide, and show you how to use it. So now I'm in my command window in MATLAB, and before I start, I want to adjust my current folder. So I'm gonna click this button, open this current folder window, and I'm going to create a new folder with the date. So this is 2021 and June 8th. So I'm going to use this folder. I'm going to select this. So my current folder is now this new folder, and I'm going to start with a comment which has the same name, guides, and click the enter button. All right, now here is our window, Guide Quick Start, and it suggests some options to us, and we have some templates to use, and we have an option blank GUI, which is the default option, and we have an option with a GUI with UI controls, and this is a very small example to create a graphical user interface. And also we have this option GUI with access and menu to create a plot in our GUIs, and also we have this option model question dialog to ask some question to our user and get an answer. And we are going to start with the blank GUI option, which is the default one. And also I'm going to click this option, save new figure as. Figure here, sorry, figure here is our design. It's our GUI. So I'm going to give a name to this file, which has the extension fig. And also this file name obeys the same rules which we follow for our variable names, function names, and also script file names. So it should start with a letter, and it can continue with some digits or letters, and also it can include only underscore, not any other special characters. All right, so it cannot include any Turkish special characters. So I'm going to be careful, and I'm going to select my first GUI file name. So I'm going to use the name my first GUI and click OK. All right, now I have two files here. As you can see, I have a file with the name which I gave to MATLAB, my first GUI.fig. This is my design file, and also I have a file, my first GUI.m. This is the script file which includes the functions to run my GUI, to run my design. And at this step, MATLAB has created this file for me automatically. All right, this file includes now 73 lines of code, and this has created by MATLAB for me. All right, I'm going to modify this design, and also I'm going to modify this code file, this script file, to create my GUI, to create my graphical user interface. First, I'm going to start with design. So here is a message from MATLAB. I have a newer tool to create GUIs, and it has the name App Designer. You can use it. All right, I'm gonna just ignore this for this moment, and I'm gonna continue with guides. All right, now we have some very basic options here, and these are very small, but I want you to be careful about them. Here is a small button here, and this button is called push button. Push button. And it works to create a button in our GUIs, in our design. And also we have this TXT symbol here, and this is for static text. Static text. And here is, we have an edit box here, and this is called edit text. These are three main tools to create our GUIs. And for example, we have some buttons here. We have some buttons here in our tool, all of them are buttons, and we can click them and they trigger some action. So they do something for us when we click them. All right, these are buttons. And also we have some buttons here in the workspace of MATLAB. And if we click this one, for example, it works for us and it saves our code to in a proper file name in the current folder which we have selected. All right, so we have all these buttons in our programs, and we can create these buttons in MATLAB in Guide by using this tool. And also we have this static text option. Static texts, for example, this one is a static text. Static text. You cannot edit this, but it can change sometimes. For example, this one. We can change the value of this text like this. When I move my cursor, the values are changing, but these are static text because I cannot modify these values directly. All right. These are the examples for static text. And also we have edit text tool and edit texts, we can directly modify the values of them. And for example, if we click this current folder text, we can change the values of them like this. Now we can change the values here. So this is an example for edit text. And also we can change the codes, of course. And this is a big example for an edit text. This is a text box. So we have these three main tools to create our GUIs. And first, I'm going to start with the static text tool. And so I'm going to delete these writings, drawings. So let's click this one, static text. And in my design, I'm going to select a point and then drag this point to create a static text like this. I'm going to select and drag. Now I'm going to release the left click. So I have created my first static text. And the first thing I'm going to do is to double click this static text. I'm going to double click it and a window appears. And this window includes the properties of this tool, the properties of this static text. We have a lot of properties, and these are background color, being selected, Gui action, and some other, for example, font size, font name, font units, font weight, foreground color. So we have background color and foreground color and handle visibility. These are a lot of options. But for now, I'm gonna just change some of them to make this clear for you. First, I'm gonna increase the font size. So I'm gonna select this option and I'm gonna change the value of this property. So this has now 8.0 and I'm gonna click this value and I'm gonna change this value and I'm gonna increase this font size, for example, to 20. I have changed this value and click the enter button to save this value like this. And now, as you can see, I have a bigger font size for my static text. All right. You can change all these values for all these properties, and you just click this value area and you can change the values. For example, let me click this one. And if I know the correct name for the font, for example, let me get some help from Notepad to see the names of the fonts, and let's change the name of the font. And I'm gonna click this font. I have these fonts, and This is MS Sans Serif, and let me find this. We have this font here, and I'm going to change this to, for example, let me find a better font. For example, I like this font, Consolas, and let me change this value to Consolas. Now I have my font, Consolas, for my static text. And also I can change the writing here, static text. And for example, I want to change this to the name of my program, which is my first GUI, and I just want to use this text again. And this is the property here, string. The string property is the shown text for the static text. So I'm going to click this value and delete this value, and then write my new value. For example, my first GUI, like this, and hit the enter button to change the value. Now I can see just my first, because the width is not enough to show this value completely, and I'm gonna change the size of this static text and move my cursor here and select this point and drag to change the size of this tool. Now I can see my value, and I can also change the position of this tool. And also I can adjust my size by using these grids. So I can use this size and use this position. All right. Now, the next step is saving my design. So I can close this window for now. I can close this window now, and I can also close Notepad. Now I have my design. I have changed something, and I'm going to save this design by using this button. So I'm going to click this. Now I have saved my design, and I'm going to try my design by clicking this play button, like we have in MATLAB to run our scripts. So when I click this button, it runs my figure, it runs my GUI, it runs my design. All right. So I'm going to click this now, and I have my very first program. All right. Now I have my GUI, I have my graphical program, and it has the title which I gave it, my first GUI, and also it has my static text. Sorry. Efendim hocam? Sorry. Now we have our first GUI, we have our first graphical program, and it has our static text which we have created, and it includes the text which we gave it, my first GUI, at this position with this size. All right. So it's very easy. Now I'm going to close this and continue to design my program. All right. So I'm going to select again this static text tool, and I'm going to create another static text here and double click it again to change the properties of the static text. All right. So we have our static text here, and if you want to, you can change the font size and font name again. like 20 and console us like this if you want to. And I'm gonna change this text again, and I'm gonna find the property string, select this, and then change the value. So I'm gonna change this value. Click here, delete this default value, and I'm gonna change this value to a question. So I'm gonna write, what is your name? All right, hit the enter button, and again I should increase the size of this static text, and I'm gonna adjust the size using the grids. So we have our second static text here, and let me check. Can I change the alignment of this text? Can I change it? Yes, there's an option, horizontal alignment. Horizontal means, you know, the alignment in x-axis. Is there another option for the vertical alignment? I think we have not. We don't have. If you see, you can notify me, but I cannot see any option for the vertical alignment. I think we don't have. All right. All right. This position is the position of the static text in your design, so you can get the positions by using this area, you know, current point and also the position, as you can see here. So we select this static text, so it shows the position of the static text. For example, if I select this one, so the position changes to position of this static text. If I select this one, it shows the position of this static text. And also in the current point area, I can see the current point of the cursor. All right. So you can make some adjustments. You can do some adjustments by using these positions. So now I'm ready. I have my second static text, which includes the text, what is your name? And now I can close this property window. If I want to open it again, then I can double click any tool which we have in our design. So for now, let me increase the size of the main window by using this tiny button here. All right. So we have a bigger design now. I can change the size. All right. So let me make it center again. All right. We have 6 boxes here and 5 boxes here. Let me increase the size of our main window by another box. All right, so we have our second static text, and now I'm going to use the edit text option. I'm going to click this one, edit text. So let me use this area to make it clear for you. This was the push button. Maybe you cannot see clearly because it's a very small area. This one is edit text, and this one is static text. Static text. All right. So now I'm going to select the option edit text, and again I'm going to put an edit text in my design by clicking some point and then drag this point to adjust the size of this tool. So like this. All right. I have my first edit text now. And again, I'm going to double click this edit text tool to change the properties of this tool. So I'm going to double click this one. Now we have some different options for the edit texts and static texts. And now, of course, we have the font size if you want to change it, and also the font name if you want to change it. So I'm gonna use the same font name and font size for all of these three tools. So now I can change the string first. String is the same option like we have in static text. And of course, now we have a default text here, edit text, but I just want to create a blank and empty edit text. So I'm just going to select this default value, edit text, and delete it to make it an empty edit text box. So I'm going to delete this and hit the enter button. All right. Now we have an empty edit text box. And here is the important property of an edit text, which is here tag. This is the most important property of an edit text. So I'm going to use this area to take some notes. String. So properties, let me write it first. Properties. String is the shown text, and tag is an identifier to reach this tool from the code, like a variable name. All right, so this must be a unique name, so you cannot use the same name for the more than one tool. So you should use unique names for tags, and you are going to use these names from your code, in your code, to reach the value of this edit tags. And it's like a variable name. All right, so it's a unique name. Let me write it. It's a unique name which we use to reach or get. Let me use get to get the get or set the value of a tool. So it can be a static text or it can be an edit text. So for this example, I'm going to use it for an edit text. So I'm going to use a unique name, and it should obey the same rules like we have used in the sorry, like we have used in the to create the variables names or functions names or file names. All right, so it should obey the same rules. It should start a character, it should start with a letter, and you can use a digit or letter in the continuation, and also you can use an underscore. You can use only an underscore for special characters. So I'm going to use the name, for example, my name. All right, my name. I'm going to use this name and hit the enter button to change the tag of this tool. All right, so I think we are ready. So I can close the window of the properties of this edit text. If you shake this window like me, and it should minimize the other windows. So if you shake it again, you can get the previous view. So now I can close this window, and you can check the tag if you adjust this correctly. So if you select this edit text, for example, you should see the correct tag here. MATLAB and guides shows you the tag of the selected tool here. All right. So you should check the tag of this tool if you adjust it correctly or not. So I'm going to select this one and I see the tag which I gave it, my name. All right. So I'm going to create also a button and I'm going to select this tool now, push button, and do the same thing. I'm going to select a point and then drag this point to adjust the size of this tool. So I'm going to do this. Now I have my push button, and again I'm going to double click this tool to change the properties of this tool. So I'm going to double click this one, and first let me do the same thing. Let me increase the font size and change the font name to Consolas. All right, and now first I'm gonna change the shown text, the written text, which is our property with the name string. So I'm gonna find the correct property here, string, and click the value, which is push button now, as you can see here. So I'm gonna select this one and delete this one, and I'm gonna change this value to, for example, welcome. Welcome. I'm gonna use this value, welcome, and hit the enter button. All right. And also I'm going to change the tag of this button to adjust the trigger of this button in our MATLAB code. So I'm going to give a unique name to this button again. So I'm going to use just welcome button. All right. Welcome button, and hit the enter button and change the tag of this button. As you can see here, you can check the value if you adjust it correctly or not. Now we have the tag welcome button for this button. All right, now, and also I'm going to create an empty static text, and I'm going to get the value which our user puts it in our edit text, and then I want the user click this button, and then I'm gonna show the same value in another static text area. So let me create another one. I'm gonna select static texts and put it here. All right, double click it, same drill again, 20 and consoles, and then I'm gonna change the written text here, static text. I'm gonna delete this, so because I want a static text here with an empty value like this. Delete this and hit the enter button. So I have an empty static text here now, but I will also change the tag of the static text because I want to set the value, set the string of this static text from my code when user click this welcome button. So I'm going to give the name here, welcome message, MSG, like this. All right, now we have our static text. All right, let me review this. Now, sorry. Now, please check the tags of our tools by using this area. Now, we have our program. Let me save it. All right. We have our program, and we have a static text here, which writes my first GI. And we have a question here, what is your name? All right. Then we have an edit text here. We have an edit text here with the tag my name. All right. We have an edit text with the tag my name. Please be careful. We don't have any spaces between the my and name. And also we have a button here which writes welcome, and also it has the tag welcome button. So we have a button. We have a button and it has the tag welcome button. Again, it doesn't have any white spaces in it between welcome and button. And also we have another static text here, which is empty now. And it has the text, it has the tag, sorry, static texts. And it has the tag welcome MSG, welcome message. Welcome MSG. So I'm gonna use this tags in our code. So now we have this design now. I have saved my design. All right. So I'm gonna clear this area and I'm gonna check the code now. Until this point, MATLAB has created some codes for me and I'm gonna check them now. So let me switch to our workspace. So we have these codes and we have some functions. Let me check them. All right, we have a function here which has the output argument var, which it comes from variable var argument out, and it has the same function with our file name, my first GUI, and obviously this is the main function which runs our design. All right, there are some extra information. All right, we have a function here, function my first GUI opening function, and it says here executes just before my first GUI is made visible. So this function, if you want to add something in this function, it just runs before your GUI is visible. All right, this is a function which MATLAB has created for us. And also there is another function here, my first GUI output function, and this is outputs from this function are returned to the command line, and you can use this function to, for example, create some logs, and it puts the output in the command line, not showing the user, but it can be useful when you want to debug some errors from your code. And also we have another function here, my name callback. My name is our edit text here, as you can remember. So we have another function here, my name create function, and it says executes during object creation, which is the object is our edit text again. All right, we have a lot of functions here, and here is the function which I'm looking for, welcome button callback, and it says, let me increase the size. It says executes on button press in welcome button. So if you click the button which we have created, which has the tag name welcome button, then this function will run. This function runs. All right. This is the function which I'm looking for. All right. If our user clicks the button, welcome button, then this function runs. All right. And here is some other information. And it says H object, and H object is the handle to welcome button. And it says get the current objective. So the welcome button here is our own button. So if you want to get some values from the properties of the current button. So you can use this argument age object. And also we have event data, and it's a results property for now, and it says to be defined in a future version of MATLAB. So it says you don't want to use this for now, but you can want to use this property in the future versions of MATLAB. So it's just for the preparation of something. So this is the important argument for us, handles. And handles, it says structure with handles and user data. So handles is an argument to make it possible to communicate with other tools, other objects. All right, so you use handles to get, for example, to get the value of another static text, or you use handles to get a value from another edit text, or set the value of an edit text, or set the value of a static text. All right, so it works for us to communicate, to make it possible to communicate between the objects. So this is the important argument for us, handles. So I'm going to change something in this code. So let me add a line here. I'm going to define a variable first. So let me use the name of user. This is a variable which I created, and I'm going to use a function which has the name get. So I'm going to use get function, and I'm going to use some arguments to get the value of a property of an object. So I'm going to use, of course, the parentheses first. And the argument here, like it shows now, age. And age means handles. So I'm going to use handles. And handles is an argument which make it possible to communicate with the object. So you can reach any other objects by using handles. So I'm going to use handles and then a dot like this. And then I'm going to give the tag name of the object. So here I want to get the value of my edit text, which I want my user to give his or her name in it. So I'm going to use the tag name of my edit text, which is my name. So I'm going to use it. So handles my name. So it makes me possible to communicate with this edit text. All right. So we have an edit text with the name. Let me use another color. We have an edit text with the name my name. All right. So if I use handles.myname, it means I'm going to communicate with this edit text. All right. I can get the value of some properties of this edit text. So I'm going to use handles.myname. Handles means the structure with handles. So it handles all the objects which I have in my design. So handles.myname means this edit text. I'm going to communicate with this edit text. I can get the values of some properties, or I can set the values of some properties. So now I have the communication with this edit text, and I'm going to continue. Now I'm going to give the name of the property which I want to get it, which I want to get the value of it. So as you can remember, I have changed the value of some properties, and the properties here which I used. Efendim hocam. Buyurun hocam. Hocam şey var. Bir saniye. Derslerim sesini kısayım. Sorry. Now I make it possible to communicate with this object. So for this step, I'm going to give the name of the property which I want to get the value of it. So I have two important properties. These are string and tag. So now I have used the tag of this object here, handles.myname, and now I want to get the value of this property, string. All right. So I'm going to use it to get the value of it. So here I'm going to use a comma and give the second argument, and this is string. So let me change the size of this part. All right. So I have defined a new variable, has the name of user. This is just a variable like we have used in the previous lecture in our script files. This is just a variable, a new variable, name of user. And I use the function get to get the value of a property. And I'm going to give the name of the object. And I have my edit text with the tag name, my name. So I'm going to use handles dot my name to reach this object. And then I'm going to give the name of the property, which is string. So this gets me the value which our user put in this edit text and save this value in the variable name of user. And then I'm gonna set the same property, set the string of my static text, welcome MSG, and put the same value in this static text. So this is gonna be an example for the get and set functions. So let me do it. Now I'm gonna use the second function, set, and use the parentheses again. And now I'm gonna give the tag name of the object which I wanted to change the values of its properties. So it's obviously my static text which I put below my button. So I'm going to use the same style. So handles dot this time welcome MSG. All right. And then I'm going to give the name of the property which I want to change. So I'm going to use the same property. So I want to change the value of the string of the welcome message static text. So I'm going to give the name string. All right. And with the third argument, I'm going to give the value, the need value of this property. So the value obviously comes from our variable, our new variable, name of user. All right. So basically, I get the value from the edit text and I put this text in my static text. All right. So now I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this code. All right. Now I have my fig file. I have my backup file, and this file ASV extension. This is for backup. So I have my codes here and I have my design here. All right. So basically, when we run this code, the user writes something, and obviously his or her name here in this text, and then click this button, and then it triggers this function, welcome button function, and then it runs my code here, these two lines, and it gets the value here, which is the value of the string property, and store this value in my variable name of user, and then runs this set function and sets this static text, which has the tag welcome message, and then set the string property of this object string and put the value which we have stored in the name of user variable. So basically it puts the same text here. If I did it correctly, let me try it. I'm going to delete these writings. All right, and I'm gonna hit this play button to try my program. All right, here is my program. Here is a static text here, and it says my first GUI. And here is our question. What is your name? And here is an edit text here, and I'm gonna write my name here, Laura, and then hit this welcome button, and it appears here. All right. So it gets the value of the string property of this edit text, save this value in a variable with the name of user, and then set the string property of this hidden static text and put this value in the string property. So basically writes the same value here. If I change the value now and click this button again, it runs again. All right. You can write any other text here, and you can click this button again, it writes again. All right. So basically we have an infinite loop in our GUIs, in our designs. So you can click this button forever. All right. Whenever you click this button, it runs this function, welcome button callback. It's a callback function which executes on button press in welcome button. When you click this button, it runs again. All right, it's very easy, but you should try it by yourself to learn this. And now let me modify this code a little. I want to make it this way. I want to write here Bora and hit the welcome button, but I don't want to write just the same name here like Bora, but I want to write it hello Bora, like this. Hello Bora. Can I add this text here? Do you have any answer for this? Can I add this text here? Or then, for example, you write here your name. For example, you write here Ali, and then click the welcome button, and it says hello Ali. All right. Hello will be a static text, and the dynamical part is going to come from here. When you change this name, and hello stays the same, but name will change. All right. This is a small homework for you. and I want you to try it by yourself in your computers. And now, now, now, now, now let me, I think this was a good example. Let me do it, a mathematical process in our GUI. Now, I want to clear this part. So these drawings, and I'm going to create another design. So I'm going to do it from scratch. Let me close this and close this. I'm going to start from scratch. So I want to create another design, and I'm going to use the comment guide again, which stands for the graphical user interface development environment. So I'm going to run this, and it will open up with the same options, and I want to select blank GUI again, and I want to save my figure in a file, and let me use the name try01, for example. Try01. So I have this little window now, and I want to do a very basic example, and I want to put a static text in my design. So I select this option again. I want to create my object by clicking one point and then drag it to adjust the size. Before doing it, sorry, before, no, before doing it, can I change some? No, sorry. Not this. Same preferences, no. Hı. Evet. Sorry. So I want to change some default options for my figure, but I cannot find. Not in here. All right, like this. If I double click an empty area in my figure, like you can see the tag of this figure, figure 1. So I'm going to click this and I want to change. I want to change the default font, but I cannot find the correct option. And I don't remember how to change them. If you find them, please notify me. You can change the title of the program here. Like you can change it to any other text that you want. All right, we have a lot of options, but I cannot see any options about the fonts. All right, all right, all right. Let's start with the static tags again. I'm gonna use them. Double click it again to the static tags. All right, here is the option window. So let me increase the font again, and I'm going to use the same font with the size 20 consolas. All right, I'm going to change the string property to a message, and I want to create a very little calculator which we can add two numbers to each other. So I'm going to write the message add two numbers like this, add two numbers. All right. Uh, if you don't have to, so you don't want to change the tag here. Here is the tag here, text 3. So if you want to reach this, if you want to reach this static text, and if you want to change the value of some properties, you should use this tag name, text3. But I don't want to reach this static text because I don't want to change any value of this properties. So I'm not going to change the name of this text and use this default one, text3. It doesn't change anything. So I'm going to create another text here for the number 1, the first number. I'm going to double click it, and first I'm going to increase the font size and change the font name to Consolas. All right, and I want to make it an empty edit text box, so I'm going to delete the value of string property like this. And of course I should change the tag name. So I'm going to select tag and change the tag name to number 1, for example. All right. Now I'm going to need another edit text box. I'm going to close this window and select this edit text which I have created, and I'm going to check the tag name here, number 1. This is correct, and I'm going to copy this edit text with Ctrl+C, and then I'm going to paste this in my design to create another edit text with the same properties. And of course the tag name will be changed because it must be unique. All right, so I'm going to copy this and then paste. So now please be careful, we have the same properties here. So for the second text box, we have the same font size, we have the same font name, but we have here the tag name number 1, but for this one we have the tag name edit2. All right, so the tag names must be unique, so you cannot use the same tag name for other objects. So I'm going to double click it, the new one, and change the tag to number 2. All right. So all these values for other properties still be the same, but tags will be different. So we have here our number 1, we have here our number 2, and I'm gonna add another static text here between our edit texts like this. Double click it and increase the font size, change the font name to Consolas, and change the value of the property string to a plus sign like this. And I think we can use some bigger fonts, like let me use 40. This is better, like this. All right, so I'm gonna create a push button to trigger some function. So let me close this window and select the push button tool, and I'm gonna put it here. Double click it and increase the font size again, change it to Consolas. All right, change the string to, for example, an equal sign like this. All right, and I'm going to change the tag name to, for example, let me use calculate button. It should obey the rules, the variable name rules, but you can select any other names that you want. All right, this is just personal preferences. So I'm going to hit the enter button. Let me increase the font size like the plus sign, like this. All right, now we have our button. Ooh, we have our big button. All right. Let me adjust the same size for the text box. I'm not very good at for the design processes. I think you can do it better than me. All right, now I'm gonna use the same thing, like let me use an edit text, another edit text. I'm gonna select edit text here, or just we can copy this one and paste to create with the same properties. Let me make it wider like this. Like this. All right. Now I'm gonna double click this one. Now it has the tag name edit tree. First, I'm gonna change this tag name to, let me say, result, for example. All right, result. And I'm gonna looking for a very important property which we have here. It's enable. If I change this value from on to off like this, so user cannot modify the value of this edit text. So I can use it for a results value. All right, I'm gonna put any value by using my code, and the user cannot change this value, but he or she can see this value in this edit text. So I'm gonna use this option. Let me save my design. Before doing it, I'm gonna write the tag names. We have an edit text with the name number 1. I'm gonna delete this area. I'm done with the previous example. So I can use this area, I think. We have a first edit text with the name number 1 and another edit text number 2, and I want to add these values to each other to get the value for the string property of the edit text with the tag name results. So results. All right, and I have a button at the tag name calculate button. So when I save this design by clicking this button, I'm going to switch to the codes which MATLAB has created for me. I'm going to save this. All right. Now we have our codes here. And please don't be confused. I I have created my button and then I have created my result edit text. So I'm gonna looking for the callback function of my button. Please don't use these functions, result create function or result callback, because they are for an edit text, not for the button. So this is the correct function. Calculate button callback. And it says executes on button press in calculate button. And as you can remember, when you use function keywords, you can use an and keyword here at the end of the definition of the function. But if you use it, then you should use for all these functions. If you don't use it at the definition of the first function, then you don't use this and keywords for any functions. And in these examples, MATLAB has created this code for us, and it doesn't use these and keywords. For example, these and keywords for this if, all right? There does not any and keyword for this function definition. And also here, there does not any, there does not exist any and keyword for the function definitions. So it ends with the definition of the another function. So this is the area which we write our codes in the definition of the function calculate button callback, which executes on button press in calculate button. So now two I'm gonna define two different variables, and I'm gonna get the values from two edit tags with the tag names number 1 and number 2. All right, but be careful. This is the values for the properties string. So string means it's a text. It is not a number. So we should convert this text into a number before we use in a mathematical operation. So let me start. I'm going to create a variable with the name n1. I'm allowed to use this name because it starts with a letter and it can continue with a digit. So n1 will be equal to value which comes from the number 1 added tags, and I'm going to reach this added tags by using handles. So handles dots number 1 make me possible to get the values of any properties of these added tags with the tag name number 1. All right. So I'm going to use a comma to give the second argument, which is the name of the property which I want to get the value of it. So it's the property with the name string. All right, like this. But please be careful. Like I said before, the value which comes from the property string, it's a text. It's not a number. So you cannot use it directly in any mathematical operations. So Additionally, I'm going to use our function which converts a text to a number which has the name str to num, which stands for string to number. All right, so it converts this value to a number. So n1 will be a numerical variable. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing with the other edit text, number 2. All right, it's going to be n2, the same function, string to number, and I'm going to get the value of the handles number 2, and the name of the property is string, like this. So now I have two variables, two numerical variables, which has the numbers which my user gave me. So I have n1 and n2, and I'm going to calculate the results and put this result in the third edit text, which has the tag name result. All right, so I'm going to start with the sets function, and first I'm going to reach the correct edit text by using handles, and then the tag name of this edit text, which is the result. And I'm going to adjust the value of the string property, and then I'm going to give the value. But please be careful again. It should be a text. You cannot give a number to this property. So you cannot use directly n1 plus n2. So it comes from here a number, and you cannot give a number to a value which accepts a value in the text format. So you should convert this number now to a string. So I'm going to do the opposite thing. So I'm going to use our function number to string, num to str, like this. So close this parenthesis and close the other parenthesis. All right. Now we have the values comes from the first edit text, number 1, and we have the other value from number 2. We add this value to each other. Before it, we have converted the values to numbers. So we find the result, and then we convert this value to string and put this value to the property string of an edit text result. All right, let me save my code now. And I'm gonna run this program by clicking this play button. All right, we have our design. I'm gonna give two numbers, for example, 7 and 5, and I'm gonna click this button, equal sign button, and it calculates the results as 12 and put this value in this text, in this edit text. And let me change this value, calculate again, and this value, and calculate again, and this value, calculate again. What if in a scenario that our user doesn't give a number? For example, let me write my name here. All right, so you should catch this error. All right, so this is also an homework for you. You should check the values if they are a number or not. So you should give some error messages to your users. Efendim hocam? Tabii hocam. Tamam. Kamera, mikrofon açamazsınız. Dinleyici olarak katılabilirsiniz hocam. Konuşmanız da gerekirse cep telefonundan şey yapabilirsiniz, katılabilirsiniz birine. Etkilemez. Etkilemez. Tamam hocam. Sağ olun. All right. We have our two example programs. One of them gives the message "Hello, your name," with your name, and the other one is calculates. The other one calculates the results by using two input numbers coming from your user. And for the next week, I'm gonna give you an homework. Let me minimize this window and we can close this. All right, I'm gonna draw a design for you. I'm going to draw a design for you. I want you to create a main window. This is a big window, so I want you to create a little window like this. All right. The close button, maximize button, minimize button here, and title should be lottery. All right. So the name of the program is Lucky 6. And you will have a button with the text on it, run. All right. This is the first design. When a user runs your program, and in the second step, if we click the run button, then the second page I'm very bad at drawing something. Sorry. And here is title Lucky 6. And I want you to, when we click this button, I want you to generate 6 random integers between 1 and 49, like we have in Turkey sayısal loto. And for example, these are the numbers which we have in Lost. Efendim? Günaydın. İyi, siz nasılsınız? Okay. Tamam. Ne iş yapar? Kim istiyor? Değil. Tamam olur. Tamam. Hastanede kalsa nasıl olur? Gitmek mi istiyor? Anladım. Tamam. Sorun olacak. Tamam olsun, sorun olsun. Tamam olsun. Görüşürüz. All right. So these 6 numbers will be random integers between 1 and 49. Tamam. Tamam. Parasını vermiş miydiniz? Tamam, verdiyse bıraksınlar. Hoca derste de çok teşekkür etti de. So there will be 6 random integers. I'm gonna write the rules. So 6 random integers, and these must be unique. So all 6 numbers will be different from each other. All right. All numbers should be different from each other. So all of them must be unique from each other. And all of them must be in an ascending order. So from left to right, like this. From left to right, these numbers should be in an ascending order. Ascending order. So the smallest number will be on the left side and the largest number will be on the right side. Ascending order. And also in running, I want you to make a scene like the numbers change, and then shows the numbers. All right. I want you to create an animation like this. This is an optional. This is an optional part of this homework. And if you just satisfy these rules, it will be okay. But if you want to do some extra thing, then you should create a digital animation like it shows the changing all these numbers and then stop for the actual value. All right, this was your homework for the next week, and next week will be the last lecture for this course for this semester, and I think we can talk with you about the final exam or final project of this course. So now I'm gonna stop the recording for this week, and then you can ask your questions.